Hi guys, welcome to a Q&A and just general talk slash podcast for one. We'll be answering some questions submitted from our community in the Q&A, and also discuss some of the things we've been reading and where we're at. So open up with the mission statement for anybody curious of what we are, what we do.
Hello, everyone. My name's Jake, co-founder and head of the education department.
I'm Anthony, not co-founder, but head of the networking department.
Here's our mission statement. One preserves historical traditions by educating a worldwide community and coordinating efforts to protect endangered sites in the Middle East.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. And my name's Colton. I am also a co-founder of One. And let's just get right to the questions then.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so our question comes from Pithman in our Discord server, which says, in a dream situation where everything went perfectly, where do you see One in 10 years and what will it have achieved?
I can take that one, I guess. I think a dream scenario, obviously things never go perfect, so I will answer that, but with the caveat that things always take longer than expected, and you never quite get where you want to be in the amount of time you think you are. I just think that that's not ever really the case. Things just take a really long time to get done, and that's why perseverance is so important. And you're coming up on our 1 year anniversary now, and it doesn't seem like we've gotten a lot done from a year ago on the macro scale, but on the micro scale, we've become very organized. We've started applying for official statuses with governments. We've reached out with networking quite a bit, and we've established a community of a couple hundred people. So you want to look at your victories while you can, and try not to compare yourself to some other arbitrary model. But I think in 10 years, what will be most important for me, I think the board as well, is that One was making a significant impact where you could measure One prior and after, without One being there, I guess, rather to rephrase. There's a clear gap. Like, we've made clear progress, and it's directly associated with what we've done and what we've established. And beyond that, I would really love to see some progress geopolitically. Not all of that we can control, but I would love to see some progress geopolitically influenced by nonprofits, such as ours, saying, hey, look, these historical sites are important, these cultures are important, these people are important. And if we want a chance at survival as a human species, then we have to come together and unite over something. And if that's monuments or culture or shared history, then that's okay. And
Right.
So
Yeah, and
I don't know if, just to end it, I guess, I don't know if we're going to meet all of our goals within 10 years, but certainly an optimistic scenario, we could be making a worldwide impact.
Yeah, and also that we're doing the work now to build the right foundation. Like, I know, as the networking lead right now, I'm trying to make connections that are going to be sustaining for us in the future, and we're trying to sort of grapple with that idea of tangibility in terms of where we direct our impacts and how we can actually see the sites that we preserve or the mission trips that we take or that sort of thing. So I think it kind of along the lines of what Colton is saying, in 10 years we want to look back and see that things have remained, things have been preserved, and we've done our part to educate people on the importance of that.
Anything, Jake?
Yeah, I think Pithman describes a dream situation. We won't take that as far to say, in the dream situation, world peace and regional peace has been achieved.
Right.
But rather, in the dream, we're best equipped to deal with conflict as it arises. There's no use planning for that utopia that may never come. We just can become better prepared every day. I think a really great goal for 10 years from now, 2032, would be a Jerusalem One office.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd
fantastic.
That'd be amazing.
Have people on the ground at all times.
That'd
It
be
would
awesome.
really help
That'd be really cool.
be able to visit sites, be able to work with archaeologists, work with locals. That would just be phenomenal.
Mhm.
And by having that goal in our minds, that can help direct our action. Just today, when I'm, even just writing the next blog piece.
Yeah, that's really inspiring to think about, and I'd also say that making sure that in 10 years it's not just about one being recognized or bigger or making an impact, but an efficient impact. We want to make sure that if we raise $10,000, that $10,000 goes to where it's going to most effectively make a difference. So you can throw $10,000 into a corporate machine, and it could just get piled into a bunch of funding. It's not that that's money's useless. However, I'm not sure that it wouldn't best be served or better be served in a place where you can specifically say, hey, $10,000 or $10 million, whatever the number is, can specifically make this change. And that's going to be measurable. And we know that 10 million or 10,000 did that. And
Right.
that's much more for me than just saying, hey, donate to blank and blank broad cause.
Mhm.
Do you think 1 in 10 years is tied to what Lionhearts will look like in 10 years?
I would really love to see Lionhearts and One grow closer together, and I think that the development direction of Lionhearts, I mean, we've been prioritizing functional things, and as soon as we get those squared away, I'd really love to focus on education and history, with specifically this region in mind, obviously, and how can we educate people? How can we make a big difference? Because a lot of people can't afford to donate. A lot of people can't afford to, contribute. But can they be educated? And can, instead of feeding into a cycle of ignorance where it's tribalistic in one side or the other, more of a broad understanding of, hey, how can we actually solve issues? How can we actually look and say, we are going to save this site, like the Shrine of Moses or the, whatever site needs fixing, whether it's the Holy Sepulchre or Al-Aqsa Mosque or whatever other in the area that could use help and be preserved. And those are just to name a few of the dozens of prolific sites just in the Israel-Palestine region. So
Right.
Connecting the two, I don't think will be hard, but it's not going to be easy either. It's sort of something that we're going to have to be intentional about moving forward.
Right. Something like a one event in Baghdad in the game saying this doesn't exist anymore
Yeah,
because of war.
right.
This was an amazing archaeological accomplishment that wasn't preserved for future generations.
Yeah.
So if we can do that to make sure that next generations don't have that.
And think of how educational it is for people to be able to go through a site like that, like Baghdad, like 1,000 years ago, right? And simulate what it would have been like as a way to remember. And what we're referring to the ancient city of Baghdad that was destroyed by the Mongols. So, I think the applications of video games for education are basically limitless. I think it's totally the future, and I think it's our children have a chance to be much better educated than we were because of the implementation of education through games, which is going to be in a much more effective medium. And I'd love to be on the cutting edge of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Pithman's other question was, what is your favorite question of the day? And a favorite question of the day answer, if you remember.
Ooh, the answer one's tough. I don't know exactly if this was the question the way that I remember, but there was a question today we had last week that was something like, if you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
And it was inspiring to see the answers because, people would say things like hunger, poverty, disease, and, it's a way to sort of rehone our sights on what's important. and it was, like I said, inspiring to see people in the one Discord, people that are interested in this cause that we have high aspirations for where we can go, not just as one, but as a world.
Yeah, that's great. I think I definitely enjoyed a lot of the questions, but perhaps believe the question about who in your life do you look up to most really impacted me, particularly because one of our other board members, Andrew, put me there, and that was really awesome to hear. And I guess selfishly, I appreciated that one, but I also just think that role models are incredibly important, and so mine is my dad, and I can't imagine where I'd be without his support and his love. And
well, that was another question of the day: was who is like your historical role model?
Oh, yeah, that was another great one. Yeah,
Andrew has been killing it with those questions lately.
Yeah,
but talking about people from all throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
from kings to peasants.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, as far as one is concerned, my answer to that would be Gandhi. Somebody who started a nonviolence movement and made a huge impact and was able to accomplish something that was near impossible through a message of love and unity. So that just proves it's able to happen, and that was in an area that was also extremely tenuous, extremely divided, and he got it done. So that's a really inspiring story. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Pithman, for sending those questions in. We also wanted to talk about the book we've been reading as a board. Here, Anthony, hold up your copy.
Here we go.
That can be our thumbnail for the video right there.
That'll be nice.
But
nice little boost.
Yeah,
it's Jerusalem, the biography by Simon Montefiore, and it's all the way back from when Jerusalem was first settled to the modern day. So every week we've been going through the years, and it's slowed down recently as we reach the modern era, but it's just been interesting to see this past, and it's punctured in a lot of way that stereotype that people in the Middle East have always been fighting, and therefore they'll always keep fighting, because that's just an argument I've seen definitely in the West, where it's like it's almost a dismissive, like, why even bother interfering type thing.
Doomer mindset, right?
Apathetic doomer mindset.
Yeah.
But there's been lots of periods of peace and interfaith relations, and there's been, even in the depths of when there was violence, there's still been agreements and settlements. So I chose just something very relevant to Lionhearts and to the region of the game, which is from the late 1100s, where Saladin and Richard the Lionheart write to each other, and Richard the Lionheart says, "You and I together are ruined from this war." They're forced to the negotiating table because both of them are personally sick. They've lost a ton of resources as men. They've just completely run out of resources. So even in that, like, height of battle between cultures, they realize the futility of conflict and how it's destroying the land that they're fighting for.
Right.
The land and the people that they're fighting for.
Yeah, the name of our game, Lionhearts, was actually inspired by a book called Lionhearts, which examined the relationship between Richard and Saladin. Lionhearts is actually referring to Saladin and Richard, not just Richard, in the book title. So I think that their relationship is so amazing, because you have two men who are constantly trying to trounce one another on the battlefield. They come from different religions. They come from thousands of miles away. And yet in their letters, you see they have a profound respect for each other, each as generals, as leaders. And I think even Richard or Saladin said to the other, if I had to lose the Holy, I think it was Saladin said to Richard, if I had to lose the Holy Land to anybody, it would be to you. Kind of like a bromance sort of situation.
For sure.
But if these two warmongering rulers, I mean, they were both conquerors,
Mhm.
could at least respect each other, and they couldn't work out. I mean, they did work out a treaty, but it's not like it achieved lasting peace in the region.
Mhm.
If they could do it 1,000 years ago, where the stakes, I think, were a little different,
Right.
and things were a little more tenuous, and there was a lot less understanding between cultures, I think. I think today it's definitely achievable.
And if you put that in context of one's mission, where it's protecting the sites, I mean, the next page has a story where Saladin finds a relic of the cross, alleged relic of the cross,
Yeah.
and he sends it on a boat to Venice as a peace offering during a time where attacks of each other's holy places was very commonplace.
Yeah.
Destruction, like a ritual destruction of other people's rituals,
Right.
and
Yeah.
sacred, and so it's like that respect for history and not just your own history, taking that other step.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Saladin, as I was saying, it's not like these dictators weren't desecrating sites and murdering many people, right? But finding some examples of moments of peace and respect,
Mhm.
you can find those, and you could start to build a trend. And you don't have to interpret the history of the Middle East simply as a bunch of different tribes destroying each other. There are moments of peace. There are moments
Of oneness,
yeah,
if you
there's
will.
moments of one for sure.
Yeah.
And there's several regimes throughout the history of Jerusalem where Muslims and Jews and Christians lived in relative peace, and swapped hands between who was possessing it, right? And periods where there was not peace, and so that should be used as some sort of inspiration, I think, for our mission.
Yeah, I think we definitely have established in our Q&As or other interactions that respect is very high on our list when it comes to conversing about these ideas. So I think, Colton, you said earlier that maybe people back then had less understanding about each other, but I might even counter and say people now, they may have access to that understanding of other people's beliefs and desires, but they may choose to ignore it in place of their own desires. So if one can also accomplish that goal of respecting and trying to find common ground, maybe not in implementation of policy or in that way, but just understanding that probably both sides or any side comes from a common point of care or the desire for peace that will allow us to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Jake?
I'd just say that if anybody watching this has a question about what any of us said, we're all available in the
Yeah.
Discord server and the Gilded. I'm recruiting anybody who wants to help write blog pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested in helping with networking or community outreach, we're definitely open to any suggestions in that as well.
Yeah.
And we also did reach out to the author of this book to see if he would want to come on for a Q&A or podcast type thing. And his response was pretty vague. He's working on another book at the moment, but maybe if enough people were to message him on Twitter or get in his mentions, maybe he would be more interested, because we know that we have a strong community, and we're very happy with the choice of this book because we feel like it's giving us a very foundational background to what we're trying to protect. So it'd be great to talk to him. As the networking person, if anyone knows of any organizations, even any, not organizations, but places in need, families in need that I could get in contact with. That's kind of where, like we said earlier, where we want to put our money.
Right.
Not to the UN or the World Monument Fund or these bigger organizations that are just large umbrellas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks, guys, and we'll definitely looking forward to doing another one of these and answering more questions. So keep them coming, and
Yeah.
thanks for your support.
Thanks for your support.